Recording. Perfect.
Yes. Hello, everybody. This is actually my debut for my podcast. Welcome to the Q Cast, and my name is Quentin, otherwise known as Cubers on Twitch and YouTube. And I have a very special guest today. He was my theater teacher. He was my theater, basically everything in theater that I ever done from sophomore year to senior year. He was there. He was my director. And what's your name, kind sir?
Thanks for having me, Quentin. My name is Andrew Wolverton, and yeah, like Quentin said, I was his theater director and teacher at Jefferson High School for your 3 years that I had you. Yeah, and I now sadly leaving Jeff High School to move on to grad school at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. So we missed our graduation dates by a year.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were sad when that because I didn't know that you were leaving because I wasn't going to the school. I was off in college and at home, and I heard the news that you were leaving. I was like, what? I was like, I just heard from other people. I was like, what?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to apply to grad school in the fall, and it was pretty tough to not be able to talk to my other students about it and let them know, like, hey, this is most likely going to be my last murder mystery. This is going to be my last, main stage and all, everything that we were doing. And I didn't want to say that, in
Mhm.
case plans didn't work out the way I wanted them to, and you just kind of wait for those sorts of things. And I was in February, I want to say, or it was March, it was beginning of March. That was right before we were sent home from school
Yeah,
when I let everybody know about my plans.
because that was around when you guys did the big old play. She killed monsters, right?
Yeah, it was right after that, and going into the children's play.
You never did get to do that, did you?
We
Children's
did
play.
actually.
Oh,
We
you did?
did. Thankfully, it was our last week there at school on that
Wow.
Friday. It was Friday the 13th,
What a game.
and we it that I mean things were starting to get canceled that day.
Hmm.
I think that day, like, NCAA had decided to end the season. High school sports were deciding to speech and debate, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, are we going to get sent home in the middle of the day?"
Right.
And we had elementary schools coming, and so we kind of knew what was happening, so we prepared ourselves. Dr. Judd Danby and I, we went out and got hand sanitizer for all of the, because it was very interactive, and so the kids
Hmm.
were on stage with us, so we had hand sanitizer for everybody and did as much as we could for that. And then that was, we pretty much knew that was going to be
The last
our
one.
last week. They didn't make an official announcement until that weekend, but it was I was very glad that I was able to have a last show with students there, and to do it with a younger audience and very interactive
Right.
experience. So I am thankful for that. But it was a very bitter ending to not to get to say goodbye to everybody in the way that I
Hmm.
had hoped. And we were able to over Zoom and had our awards banquet. But yeah, it was a very interesting last year of teaching.
Yeah, because I was wondering since when I wasn't there, I was wondering how that all went because I know you guys weren't able to do the red black review, and like my friend Carmela, known her for a couple of years, because I know
She's
many.
great.
Oh,
She's
she's
great.
amazing, and she was sad that like you guys couldn't do the red black review, and she was worried that you weren't going to be able to do it. and I felt bad because that's like it's a good play because people get to write it and do it themselves, which is amazing. And I was sad that you weren't able to go out with that, but it was cool that you didn't just stay in school for an extra month and weren't able to do another production. And
Yeah,
that was a good part.
you know, I was debating on if we could somehow do a virtual Red and Black review, but there was so much happening and so many new things happening at that time that I know I had to simply figure out how am I going to do teaching
Mm-hmm.
all online, especially for theater. And so I spent a lot of time working through that, and we, weren't able to put together something as much as we would like to have. But it's I think we did the right thing, and not being in school and making sure that everyone was safe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
how gig you education by the way online because I was wondering about that because I knew
yeah.
for like math it would be a lot easier in English, but I was like theater, I was like it seems like a little bit hard to go online.
It definitely is more of a challenge, and I wish I had another crack at it. It's not really something that you learn to do online. I mean, there are definitely resources that I've learned about, but the majority of your time in your training is obviously on stage and in person. So uh, we did some radio shows. We did a lot with voice acting,
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to study bringing out characters through your voice. So I think we were able to make something out of it, and we did some creative stage and lighting design through some programs that I found. So we were able to make it work, and luckily it was only I think about the last quarter. So we only had 9 weeks roughly to kind of figure it out.
Right. And I think the main thing that I was sad about was mainly for all the seniors that year
Oh
because
yeah.
they couldn't because I don't know how that's going with commencement now if they're actually going to be able to do it because I was
Yeah,
hearing miss and match.
there'll be a commencement ceremony, but I think only students are allowed to go.
Uh,
So,
uh,
but it's unfortunate, but I do believe that it's what is needed right now,
mhm,
considering where our numbers are and how we are going up.
right.
So I think it's important in the long, grand scheme of life and the amount of time that we will hopefully all be alive on this planet together. I think that it is something we'll be able to move on and live without. So that's but those are just my opinions.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong. That is simply my opinion. So
Yeah, yeah, the world's crazy right now, we'll admit. It
yeah.
really is.
But
Um,
we could talk about better things than
yeah.
coronavirus. I'm sure.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to talk about that at all on any of my podcasts. I wanted to skip the whole thing about that. Getting into it is so like it's so opinionated,
True.
and like I don't want
Well, let's talk about theater then. Let's continue to
to.
talk about theater.
So I wanted to talk about like when you were like, let's say, did you start theater in elementary or middle school or
Yeah, I started theater in second grade. Community theater's production of Oliver. So I was one of the orphan boys. If you've never seen or heard of Oliver, it's essentially about a young orphan boy in London, I believe, or somewhere in England, but I'm pretty sure it's London. It's been a
I
while
haven't.
since second grade. But it's an orphan boy in London, and he is at this orphanage for a while. Then they're pretty nasty towards the children. He essentially finds this group of pickpockets and kind of about his journey finding love and family and all that. So
Oh,
that
so
was my first show. I was one of the orphan boys, and I
mm,
was hooked ever since.
so like so you get in second grade, like what were like let's say as you were getting older, if you like could you have like classes for theater in like middle school, because I know like now it's kind of hard to get to theater until you're in high school, because I don't really see much for classes in middle schools and junior high schools as
Yeah,
much as
I community theater was for the most part my theater class. I think from the span of second grade to high school, was in 20 some odd shows.
okay.
I lived at that community theater. I did summer camps when I was a kid to interning and directing summer camps. I performed in as many productions as I could, and was thankful for my parents driving me to all the rehearsals from 7 to 10 p.m.
Oh, that's late for a young kid like
Yeah,
that.
it was, but I was committed, and it was a place where I felt at home, a
Mhm.
place where I felt that I could be accepted and just be myself. Where at school,
Right.
especially middle school, which is
Oh,
the bane of everyone's existence
middle school's the
because
worst.
they're everyone is just a demon child, and I was not about that. So
Middle school is probably the worst, I think,
yeah,
grade that you could ever be in. I will admit.
yeah, I taught middle school for 1 year, and I never want to go back.
Oh, you hate it?
So I wouldn't say hate, but I would say that it was quite daunting to deal with student because you think that those kids those age would only pick on other students, but no, they find a way to like also pick on adults as well, and find your insecurities as an adult. So
Right.
um yeah, they're just crazy, wild, and rambunctious kids who ultimately want to be loved, but uh, just can't quite figure out how to be accepted and be accepting of other people. So,
Not
but yeah,
trying
I spent a lot of time at theater growing up.
not trying to get off topic, but literally my cat just ran in here and almost unplugged my whole microphone.
Oh my
She
gosh,
ran over it and almost unplugged everything. Jesus.
this
Um.
I'm more of a dog. I'm more of a dog person, so
Oh, I love God,
Mm.
but I got this cat back in 2012, and we kind of saved her from being left by herself outside. So that's how I got her. But I'm curious, more going on, like going through theater as you were a kid, through high school, because I know you probably did more throughout then. When you, how many plays did you do in there, and what was like your favorite role to ever play in those
Yeah.
theater?
So, believe it or not, I I was still trying to figure myself out in high school. Shocker, right?
Ooh.
And I for whatever reason, I did not audition as well at high school. I think it was just because I was very insecure
Hmm.
around everybody at school versus at the community theater. And I did not have any lead role. I was in musicals while I was there, and but I didn't have any lead role until my senior year.
Oh wow.
So and again, which I was happy to be a part of the productions,
Right.
but I definitely took me some time to learn how to be comfortable and really accept myself fully. And I learned that through high school theater. We did improv shows. We had our own variety shows, much like the Red and Black Review
Okay.
that we wrote. So we we did quite a few productions. It was with the three main ones. We did a musical, we had an improv show, and then our variety show.
Now you're talking about writing your own shows. I remember, what was it, junior or senior year? You told me that you and your class wrote a whole musical,
We did.
and
There
I
was a
I can't
yeah.
remember what it was about because I
It's called
remember you,
about Stargirl, the
right.
book. I think there's a Netflix series now about Stargirl. But yeah, we there was a class that was offered called Creative Musical Theater (CMT),
Mhm.
and we wrote a musical. We started in the summer, and it was just one semester class, and we went to New York. We showcased it to some folks there, and then we had a big showcase at the end of the semester for our work.
Now, so you went to New York, and is that probably one of the main reasons why you wanted to take your future class on down the road to New York? Was that one of the big reasons?
Oh, most definitely. I knew that there were other opportunities closer nearby to take some trips to.
Hmm.
Going to Chicago, there's a bit of Broadway there, but Broadway in Chicago, but it's definitely not the same experience. And that is where professional theater and actors are going,
Right.
to 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 make it really big. So I don't. I think that it's a unique opportunity, and I remember that first experience of Times Square at night.
Oh, it was amazing.
It takes your breath away. So it's so different. It's so
I,
different from Lafayette in Indiana.
oh, that was the first place I actually been out of state, was New York, and I think I told you that, that was the first place where I ever been out of Indiana, because I mainly just had doctor's appointments in Indianapolis, and that's the only reason why I was out of Lafayette. And I can't remember if I told you. I'll tell you this whole story. I almost thought I wasn't going to make it to the bus in the morning, because basically what happened, we had to get to the bus, what, at 3 or 4 in the morning in
Yeah.
order to get there. It was nuts. And what was it? So it was the night before. Um, our roommate Bill and I went and watched Halloween because the power was out, and great time for the power to be out, right? The night before we have to go, so I can't really charge anything, right? And so we went and saw Halloween, which I loved it. I always been a fan of that series. And then we came back, and then I was like, shoot, power's out. We had to figure out a way to charge my phone. We were charging it through my
I think I
laptop.
vaguely remember that. Yeah.
We were charging it through my laptop. Bill gave me his phone as an alarm in case mine didn't go off, because I was having problems with my phone at the moment. I had two phones for alarms, and then finally, all right. So morning came. We woke up, right. Perfect. Everything going swell. My phone's at 100%. I'm able to go, get out to the car, and we're like, what, it's 10 minutes away from time to have to be at the school. Couldn't find the keys. Couldn't find the keys to the car. I'm like, and we're like, shit. and, so we're freaking out. I have my whole suitcase prepared,
Good
whatever.
thing you live so close
Yeah, yeah,
to
right,
Jeff.
right.
You just run.
Oh, we were going to, and then we had like 3 minutes left to get there, I believe, and we had a little bit more time, but in our minds, we were like, oh, we gotta be there real quick. We gotta go, and I had everything packed, and we were about to go, and my dad finally found his key to the car, so then we drove up there real quick, got to the bus. Thank God, because I remember you saying, if you're not there, we're going to leave without you.
Well, we had
And
to.
I
Yeah.
know you didn't have a choice. And I was so worried, because if I can't make it, that would have ruined me. Because that was the only time where I was going to be able to go to
I
the
would.
place that I wanted
Yeah.
to.
I would not have. Well, I'll tell you this much, because I knew where you lived. We would have. I would have been banging on your door. You better believe it. Oh yeah.
I was so worried that morning, but
Yeah,
thankfully,
I mean, it was a great trip. I mean, I was I was very pleased. I love taking you guys to those shows and you all being able to see in professional theater and being able to briefly meet some of those actors after the show. And
Yeah.
that last day though, with you remember the last day leaving, right?
Shoot, what was it?
So I'll tell the story again.
I can't remember.
So it was probably around 10, 11, 12. I think it was around noon.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
we were all out and about at Central Park.
right.
And we were like, okay, we need to go back soon. And I get a text message
Mm-hmm.
asking, are you guys okay? And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't we be? And all of a sudden, I get a alert on my phone from CNN saying that there is a bomb threat at the CNN building. And I'm going, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I said, no, we're fine. We're at Central Park.
Right.
Little did I know, the area of Central Park that we're at was right there at the corner of CNN.
Oh my god.
So I'm gathering everybody up and saying, we got to go. And so as we're walking out, I see SWAT cars vroom, 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 going down the road.
I was oblivious.
Well, I know because I literally stood in front. We were there. The CNN building was right there by the subway station. And I said, let's go. Come on. We got to go. We got to run. Let's go. I am like herding everybody standing in front of the building as if I were able to somehow block it from your sight and just funneling everyone down the subway. So that way you guys would not see what was happening because the cops were it was just starting
That's crazy.
to happen. And people were just starting to respond. So we get in the subway, and once we got in the subway, everyone's phones went off with those, local alerts. And then you all were like, "Oh my gosh, there's a bomb thing!" I go, "Oh yeah."
Well,
what?
You know what's funny about that? I didn't know about it until we got back to the hotel.
Well, I didn't want to. I didn't want to tell you guys.
Well, I didn't even know, and I was like, "What was it?" It was Gretchen, Francis, and I think Carmela. They were like, "Oh my God, there's a bomb threat." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you guys,
and like,
I don't want you guys to freak out while we were.
You know what the funny part about it was? I didn't freak out at all. I was like, "Oh, it'll be fine." And I didn't even realize.
Thankfully it was. Yeah.
I didn't even realize how bad it was getting. And they're like, "Oh my God, we could have died." And I was like, "What do you mean? We're not even close to it." I didn't even know where it was. None of it.
Yeah. Well, and then of course we missed our flight because of all the traffic.
That was the part I remembered.
When I went to go to get the tickets rearranged after we were Home Alone 2 running through the airport.
I had the worst experience.
I went to the ticket desk, kiosk, I don't know, what do you call it? Mm-hmm. And I said, here's our situation. Here's what happened. And she said, well, we have the last flight. We have some seats. How many do you need? And I said 19 tickets. And she said, 19. Are you sure? I said, yes. No more than 19. I said, no. She goes, good, because that's exactly as many tickets I have left on the flight.
Wow. Exactly.
Exact. That was it. And we had two people who stayed in New York. And I was like, had they not stayed extra days,
we wouldn't be able to leave.
I would have been staying in New York. Like I would have been the one to not fly. But then I was like, but I kind of have to because I'm responsible for the students. So I was like, I just was thankful. And I said, okay, everything worked out the way it needed to. And we made it home. And I think at the end of the day, everyone had a great experience.
I remember, though, everybody was freaking out about it. I remember I was calling my dad. Everybody was crying about it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
What was it? And I remember I had the worst experience when that all happened because I got lost. We got
In the
lost in the
airport?
group. Yeah, you remember that where I got trapped behind people and
Oh
you had to
yeah,
come
in the
get me.
security
It was
line.
so bad.
You didn't want to cut. You were like, just move, just push them by.
Well, the thing
You were like,
was, I can't
oh.
even know where you were. I was
I
like,
know.
and I can't even see anyone. I was like, what? And I was cussing so much right at that moment.
Oh yeah.
And then topping off that, I remember I had to put my clothes in like trash bags.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, where are my clothes? And oh, I am like freaking out. You're trying to calm me down. And then what was it? They couldn't find it. And then a week later, I saw this car that came up and it came up with it. I look in it, like half my clothes aren't there. I don't know where half of them went.
Oh yeah.
And it was bad.
It was a mess of a day. I was thankful everyone was safe, and
Right, nobody got hurt. Or like
yeah, but I remember we had to go to the baggage claim, and they said, "What does it
mm-hmm.
look like?" And we said a trash bag,
Right.
and they were like, yeah, probably not."
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I had nothing else.
Well, they probably thought it was trash, and I
Yeah.
was like, they just tossed it. They were like, "What is this? Why is the trash in here?" Well, I don't
Well,
know.
I think what was it? I think I put it in the wrong place. I don't it was the door. It wasn't where you put it right by where you're sitting, but where everybody else put the rest of the luggage.
Mm,
And they were like, "Oh, it probably got shredded." And I was like, "No," and because that was a pretty good chunk of my clothes, you know, and
yeah,
they weren't that bad either. And I know half of them are gone. I don't remember what it is. There were a couple of good shirts, and like I think I lost a hoodie too, and that sucked. It was, but eventually I got over it. I was glad I was home. You know, I remember I got back. I walked home at two in the morning or 3 in the
yeah,
morning because I was just having a bad morning that day.
yeah. I it was we did it, and I was proud of the way everybody handled themselves after the
hmm
fact. So yeah.
But I still love the trip. Loved it.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't take it back at all. All right. What were we supposed to talk about? I totally got off topic. Um. Oh yeah, theater. Right. You
That
know
thing.
why I brought you on here? Because you're the one that I wanted to talk with. All right. So there was also another thing that because I saw you as a teacher and a director for
Mm,
theater. How different the difference between acting from yourself as a student when you were younger and to actually teaching it? Like, what did you have to change and all
yeah.
that? I'm curious.
There I found there were a lot of similarities between the two for me. I Teaching, first off, there's a lot of acting involved in teaching an improv, but
Yeah.
um I found that the creative process was fairly similar from acting into directing, making creative choices. And there were times where I felt that when I was deciding what I wanted to do with the character, I
hmm
was thinking of it as myself performing it, what choices I would make with that, or how I saw the characters. So there are a lot of similar creative experiences, but when it comes to directing, you have to have the entire picture in front of you. You have to see the whole stage. If you're playing chess, you have to see the whole board in order to understand it. You can't just look at one piece and do that. And that's kind of, I think a big difference as an actor. You're really focused on your own character and how they interact with the other
hmm
characters around you. Director, I have to look at how every single
Yeah.
character is interacting with one another.
It's so hard.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a great creative challenge, and what works visually for audience members. What do I want my audience members to experience? How
Mm-hmm.
do I want my audience members to feel about certain moments? And so that comes into, not only blocking and character interactions, but also with lighting and design, specific lighting moments to happen to try and create certain reactions
Oh yeah.
from the audience. So there are a lot of different creative elements that are different, but I definitely think that being an actor first gave me a much clearer idea of how to put together a show rather than just directing. And I think that my time working in tech, running lights and setting up lights definitely helped my overall creative vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend to anybody who wants to direct to see the whole stage, to understand what you want to show. What do you want how do you want these characters to interact? What does the script call for? And how do you bring that to life? So there are a lot of different ways you can go about directing. I've seen some very different styles of directing, some very
Mm-hmm.
experimental styles, and some very traditional, on the flip side. So you kind of have a little bit of fun. I get directors, you sometimes get to create your own playground, and then everyone gets to go, the actors get to go play on it.
Yeah.
That the first show I did there, Lord of the Flies, I mean, I created
Oh.
a sandbox on stage, literally sand, and we had people doing flips and dives and
Yeah,
all
because
sorts of stuff on
I
there.
I wasn't part of that show because I wasn't a part of JP that year. Well, I was, and then I left, and then I came back the next year.
Yeah.
I, and I remember you telling me like, "Oh, you have been pertinent for that show," and then I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then I kept thinking about it. And I kept thinking about it. I was like, "You're probably right." I was like, I kind of like I was disappointed. I didn't stay, but I think it was better for me to take a break
Yeah.
and then come back because
And that's fair.
I think it made everything better for everyone involved.
And
To
the
be honest.
interesting part about teaching that I found is being able to see opportunities for my students, seeing where they really excel at or where they could potentially excel at. Something that I found was, how do I push my students in the direction that I see their strengths in? Because I think something that we all learn about and grow in high school is like, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and I definitely wanted to help improve people's weaknesses, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I wanted to build upon their strengths
Right.
as well. And I chose to build more on strengths when it came to Jefferson players. And then in class, I chose to work on weaknesses and saying, okay, here's what we can do to help make.
So that.
That's kind of how I chose to approach
Ooh. Yeah.
what students needed.
All right. Ooh.
So yeah,
For a second it paused. It might be my internet. For a second it just stopped.
oh,
But
we can
yeah.
edit that. You can
Yeah.
edit
Yeah.
out of that.
I'll let it out. But yeah. My guy just came in and gave me some pizza, so I'll have that
We're
in a little bit
ordering
later.
pizza. We're ordering pizza here. So what do
Oh.
you know?
But what was it? Because I remember mainly the weakness that you always said to me was stop talking so mask. And I was always so upset whenever I heard that in the notes. Okay, whenever he got to me, I was like, "You gonna say it again? Like, you need to slow down." And I kept on hating you for it.
Well, if you'd have slowed down,
And
I wouldn't have given you the note,
he's, but because there was one thing that I really wanted to bring up because one of my favorite two roles that I ever done in Jefferson Players was the murder mystery, the very first, well, second one technically that I was in. Um, Murder Me Always, I believe so.
Sure. Sounds right.
I
Yeah.
believe it
Yeah.
is. That was the play where
Is that the
oh
soap opera one?
mm,
No.
I don't know.
It's the one on the wall behind. I think that you got a poster of it.
Yeah. That was the one. Basically, yeah, because I remember we had Keaton in it. We had Francis.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
like the film noir
yeah,
sort of. Yeah, now it's coming back to me.
yeah. We had Cod. No, that's not his name. It Thad. Cod. Jesus.
Yeah.
Sad.
Good old
Um,
Thad.
he was great. But I remember that was my one of my favorite roles, and I remember when we were auditioning for it, it was me and another guy that auditioned for it. I don't think anyone else did. Besides us two, as a freshman that auditioned with me. And I remember at the audition, you're like, "Hey, can any one of you sing? What was it? This song?" And we were like, "I don't know, Defying Gravity. We don't know that." You said this one. No, don't know it. What about this one? No. How about Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? And you basically gave up. Neither one of us knew the songs, and I found it hilarious that we both had to sing that one. I remember after the audition, you let me in on a little secret, basically saying, "Hey, your role is the killer." And I was like, "Oh, is he being biased?" Because I don't think you told the other guy. And I was kind of like, "Huh, is he really wanting me to get this role over him?" And I never knew the other side of that story on that part either.
I don't think I would have. I don't think maybe I was telling you had the role. If anything, I was saying in like the audition, your character
Mm-hmm.
that you're auditioning for is. But maybe I had you in mind as well, based off the audition. I don't know for sure. I don't remember, to be honest. I doubt I would have told you you had the role.
Right.
That's not my thing. I know a lot of students and a lot of actors, they think that directors precast,
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely not true. I would say what we do is we have a
An
preconceived
idea.
notion of who potentially we could,
Mm-hmm.
but that's only because we have to choose shows based off of the people that we know will audition
Right.
and potential new auditionees. So that would be the only thing. So we would kind of look at a show and go, okay, these people could probably fill these roles
Mm-hmm.
and would suit it. Is it do directors kind of see people for certain roles?
Of course.
Yeah, of course we do, but that's why we cast people for the roles. But I'll tell you this much: there were numerous times where the person who I saw for the role
Mm-hmm.
came in and did not,
Mm.
either they
Can,
didn't meet the expectations I
can you
had for it,
can you give
or
me an
I saw
example?
them for a different role all in its entirety.
Is there a way you can give me an example but not say the certain name?
I No, I wouldn't. I, and not because I don't want to. It's just I don't know if I remember specific
Okay.
example. I know that was the case where it's just people would walk in with who we thought, okay, that we would possibly see this person for this role.
Right.
Let's have them read for it. And then they wouldn't read well for it, or we
Mm-hmm.
had them read for another role and they read even better for that.
Yeah.
And we said, oh, okay, we're actually going to cast this person in a different spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's we never precast before auditions. It was definitely something that we always debated upon after everyone left the auditions. But
Gotcha.
we were pretty quick at casting the shows. Like we
Yeah.
knew
Oh.
after the second day or callbacks or whatever we had, like it was usually my goal to cast the show
Mhm.
after auditions, and I would have a pretty good idea. I'd feel good
I
about it.
I
Yeah.
always remember that Friday, like that whole rest of the week. No one cares about school. They only care about that Friday. And we were
Hmm.
like, man, why you gotta post it after school? Why not during
Because
lunch?
I wanted to
like,
get out of there.
like,
There was no way that I was going to post it at the beginning of the day and then have everybody come to me and go,
and then be like,
"Why did I
what?
get that wrong? Why did I
Right?
get caught?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm not."
Oh,
So I would post it and I would leave.
what was it? I remember it was Peter and the Scar Catcher. Oh my god,
Yeah.
another one of my favorite
Well,
shows that I
you
loved.
wanted Smee
No,
more
I
than
didn't.
anything.
No, I didn't actually. At the very beginning, I told you, I don't want Shmee at all.
I'm I've
I told my dad that I really didn't want that character, and that's what I told him. He basically told me that that's the only role that I think you could fit.
I'm pretty sure I remember you like coming up to me
I
1,000
because
times saying you wanted Smee.
I gave up and listened to my dad. That's what you don't
Oh.
know. Because he kept telling me, "No, you fit perfectly for me," and I was like, "I don't want him." And then I was like, "Hey, Wolverton." Then I came to you, and
That was something else. People would always come to us. They would come to me before a show and say like, "Hey, I'd really like this character," and be like,
yeah,
"Hey, great, thanks.
right. And then basically,
Don't
just
care. I'm gonna
right.
wait for your audition."
I thought like when I auditioned for the character Shmi in that show, I thought it was awful because I tried to go with the
No,
cartoon character and have a lisp when I kind of already have it, and I made it even worse. And then I was like, "Ooh, that's not good at all." I remember I kept doing the thing and it just wasn't working out. I remember the last 2 weeks, I fully changed the character, changed the mood, changed the voice, made it my own within the last 2 weeks because I knew like it was not going to do great
I
as the show.
and I find that I do that as well. It's usually those last couple weeks where I really solidify a character and I kind of come into my own with that. And some people are different. Some people can find it right away in rehearsal process or once you
Hmm.
start doing run throughs. But I think it really takes, some solid run throughs, non-stops of the show to really find your groove.
Hmm.
So, I agree with that
I,
as well.
um, now I don't know if you knew this, but during the show when it actually happened, I think it was the Friday night that we did the show. Was that the first show where we had it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Right? Or was it only
We
Friday and Saturday?
we only had two shows.
Right. Oh, you get it for She Killed Monsters. That's right.
She
For
Kills
3 shows.
Monsters, yes, was three
Um.
shows. I only did two shows because I wanted to see how our turnout would be
Right.
with a thrust style stage, and we sold out both
Oh, it
shows.
was great. And I don't know if you remember, but during Friday night show, it's where we got into the physical scene where everybody was moving around. Where it was Elliot as Skash versus um, I don't know if he's going by something else, but Steve as
Hmm.
the other character. I don't remember the name. Um, I remember
It
it was
started with an S name. It was
I
the
don't
characters. It started with an S.
uh, um I don't know. I really don't know. And he was playing the character, and they were like enemies. And so I was really getting into it, and I flipped my head up, my glasses fell off, Now imagine, I just got these glasses like a week
Oh my
ago.
gosh.
They were new, and they fell off during this scene where everybody was keeping around him, right? And my dad is in the audience, and he's so worried. Like, come on, you gotta pick those up, pick them
Like
up.
at the yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to break character. And so, I was worried about the character. And I swooped him up, and I don't think a lot of people noticed. He noticed because that's all he was looking at. And it was bad. And because I had to get my glasses, I remember that night also
Just make
the
it part of the scene.
yeah the mustache fell off.
Yeah.
Like yep. And what was it? Um, he improv and said, "Go get my mustache, me," or something like that. And I was like,
Yeah. Find
okay.
me my treasure. Go and go get me my treasure and find my
And
mustache. Something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. And I honestly thought
Bill
it was
Slank. It was Slank.
Slank. Yes.
As a character.
Oh yeah, that was a good character. I like him as that, and it was a good show. It was, I think it was my second skill overall because I think Henry Skill is probably my favorite character I ever played because it was also I remember you telling me after the show like, oh you stole the show, you made it your own, and I
Yeah.
remember what was it I had a couple of people comment on me saying that the same thing and that made me feel really good. And I remember what was it? My dad. He was talking with me afterwards, and he was like, "You reminded me of my father because of how like drunk and all my movements and everything I was doing."
Mm.
Oh, what was it? It was when I was getting the character right. I think you caught on to this, um, where I was able to have my script on me for the whole show, right? I
Mm.
was like, oh, I don't gotta remember some of my lines. I can read them off the script, right? And then you get the thing where, oh yeah, can't wear your glasses for half the show. I was like, oh, man, that's scary. I was like, I can't even see half the show. I was worried I was gonna fall or trip, and I was like, damn, that's wrong.
Hey,
And
I don't know what to tell you.
so,
No comment.
no comment. But also another question I had: what
Yeah.
was one of your well? Here, let me get to the musical side. Um, because you helped out for the Once Upon Masters, which that's the only one that I was a part of, and you probably helped out for a couple more musicals when you were there,
Oh yeah.
with like JSAT and Fern.
Yep.
And uh, JSAT basically was he was a choir teacher. He was also the musical director. Am I getting that right?
Hmm.
Over at Jefferson High School, he's been doing it for over 20 years, I believe. And Fern helped out too. I can't remember what he is. He's an English teacher, I know that, but I don't
He
remember what.
also he also is one of the directors
He's
for the
also
show.
okay.
Hmm.
And I know that I didn't really see you do that much, like telling people how to act, and was it just because they
I did
didn't?
a lot of one-on-one
Okay.
things, so it would be we would pull people aside from rehearsals to work with them,
Hmm.
and I was more assistant directing, so I did a lot of things that were more behind the scenes, and JSAT and Fern were the ones up front. So
Gotcha.
played a more backseat role, which was fine by me. We just did the murder mystery. I did a lot of work, and
Yeah.
I also would be going from murder mystery to musical, and then
Hmm.
going to speech team to musical.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was fine by me.
Yeah, you were doing a lot right then. I remember that because it was like
Oh yeah.
bam, bam, one after the other. Like you had no time to
Yep. I
yourself
had
really.
I had like an hour, half hour to eat, and sometimes people want to come and talk to me after rehearsals.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I gotta walk and talk. We gotta walk and talk.
Right. Yeah, you were busy right there.
Yeah.
Um, shoot, what was I going to ask? What was your probably your favorite play you ever like directed over at Jeff? I'm curious.
Well, um, it'd be between Peter and Oh, Peter and Lord of the Flies. I would say I Lord of the Flies just being my first main stage. I think was a special moment. It uh, we did not really get the turnout we wanted, and
Hmm.
there were definitely actors who needed to learn their lines a little bit more, or
Yeah, because
a
ev-
lot of bit more.
every time I hear about that, they're always like, "Oh, that was a mess." Like every time
Yeah,
whenever I talk with someone.
it was only a mess because people did not learn their lines, and
Mm-hmm.
there was, I think, just lack of discipline
Mm-hmm.
on their part of
Right.
because the thing that I always say is like I can give you all the blocking in the world, I can give you all the notes in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but until you learn your lines, I can't do anything else. Like
It
my
it
notes become meaningless because you don't know your lines, and I
right.
can't develop you any further. And that's I can give you techniques to memorize lines,
Mm-hmm.
but if you don't go home and sit down and record yourself, record the lines, have a scene partner, it ain't gonna happen.
Right. Isn't it when you? Because I heard you walk out of a of a rehearsal. Is that the one?
I did. It was I, it, I don't know if it was Tech Week or the week before Tech Week, but I stopped the rehearsal and I said, "We're done. I'm not doing rehearsal. I'm not wasting tech tech's time,
Mm.
and you guys can go do what you want to do. If you want to go sit and learn lines, go sit and learn lines. If you want to go home, you go home. But this is your show, and I can't do anything about it." And so, yeah, I stopped the
Jeez.
rehearsal and I didn't go home.
Mm-hmm.
I hung around and waited until
To see what
everybody
people
went
would
home.
do.
Well, I partly it's my responsibility to make sure everyone was okay, uh, but I was done with rehearsal and I told them to get off the stage.
Mm.
So, and I stand by that. And I'll tell you what, we did well. Yeah, we did not have an entire breakdown like that after that moment. Curious Savage, there were
Oh
one,
boy.
two actors who had the same issue, but like
Yeah.
they were new to the program,
Mm-hmm.
and what I noticed was the folks who the I would say for the most part freshmen and sophomores in Lord of the Flies who had learned what they need to do going into Curious Savage were
Right.
ready to go. And so by the time, when you guys got to Peter and the Starcatcher,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty seamless. I mean, you
Right.
guys learned your lines, you knew how to practice lines. And to me, that showed that you all figured it out. You learned what you need to do. And I was then able to start working on more things that I wanted to help build upon it. And I know this last year for those seniors who were
Mm-hmm.
freshmen when I came in,
Yeah.
they were able to put even on a more spectacular show because they were disciplined. They knew how to react and
Mm-hmm.
knew how to have a rehearsal. So, they were ready for it. And I was very, very proud of the work they did for the show.
I almost forgot about Curious Savage until you brought it up. To be honest, because I liked the show, but it was so different for me
Yeah.
because the role that I had, I was like, because at first I told you that I felt like I kind of got the role because Brendan left, um, and I felt like I kind of got the role, and I was like, okay, I guess. And I remember the main issue that we had was my beard. You were wanting me to shave
Right.
it, and I refused. I kept it, and I kept it. I kept it for the show, and I just didn't want to shave it. And yes, I was being selfish on that part, but man, I liked it at that point. And now it's all gone.
But what did you do? Was it later that year for the children's play, or was it the next year?
Kill. Oh, that was a Children Play.
Because you shaved it for that.
Yes, I did. Um.
That was your
Oh yeah,
senior
yeah.
year, wasn't it? By that point,
No, no. I
yeah, that
think
was your senior.
yeah, yeah. You're
No,
right. Junior.
It was your junior year.
Because
So
actors
you
just
didn't
came
shave it
in.
for Curious Savage, but
I
you shaved it
I
though by
had
the time we got
I
to.
had to. I didn't have a choice because we didn't even realize it when we got there. All of a sudden, we were all in the room, right? And they're like, "Wait, he has a beard. He's playing this
Mhm,
kid, right?"
mhm.
And they're like, if he's around a bunch of other kids, that kind of looks a little bit. I'm not going to sure you say it, but you can honestly tell
It
when
looks suspicious.
it looked weird. And they're like,
Yeah.
I was like, I was sitting there, I was like, God damn it. I was like, I
Yep.
don't want to shave this. But then I was like, I was stuck in a corner where I didn't have a choice. I had to.
For the
And
kids.
I well, it was also for the show main reasons. I didn't have a choice but to shave it. I remember they had a vote. It
Mhm.
was like, should he shave it? Yes or no? Everyone said yes. Everyone, not a single person said no.
You
I'm
look
the
good, clean shaven. I
yeah.
don't know why.
Well, at the moment I like my beard. I like to maybe look older. Now that he's all gone, I'm just keeping the mustache.
You
Um,
reminded me that I need to go shave here now. It's
I
getting all dry.
don't even see it in here.
Yeah.
Um, but going, I'm curious about going back like the Curious Savage. I almost forgot about that player, right? And I remember we had some problems. I'm not gonna say the people, but it was. I don't think it was a bad show, but it was definitely a rough show. I think, and it's because I remember that show. It was, oh boy, it had some rough patches. Was it on the show when Francis was late to the queue,
Hmm.
and we had basically everybody out here is watching. Imagine there's a set, and you have basically it looks like an inside of a house. You have two doors, I think a window in the middle, if I'm
Yep.
correct. And we had what was it? It was a
Couch in the center,
what was
and then
this?
stage right there was a table and chairs and whatnot.
What was on? Was it a sign on the door? No, no, it
There
was
was
the
a
alarm. It
siren.
was a buzzer,
Yeah, it's a big old red
and it was a
siren.
buzzer because we were inside the like a what do
It
you
was
call it?
like it was a homestay for
Yeah,
folks who had intellectual developmental disabilities.
and I was playing the doctor on that one, and we remember Francis was late to the queue, and we were like, oh crap. We had the we had the like improv for a little bit for like I would
Hmm.
say maybe a good 2 3 minutes, and
It
then
was a while.
he finally came out, slammed the door, buzzer broke. The cat
Yeah.
crew was not happy, and I knew that.
Oh, I was not happy.
You weren't happy either because it. I don't think it looked. It might have looked worse. I think in the audience view, I don't think it looked terrible. The way we had to.
Oh.
What was it bad?
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
but I remember
Oop. Yeah.
we had to recover, and man, it was a rough
Yeah.
couple minutes.
You guys figured it out. Like I said, by Peter and Starcatcher, I think you all started to figure out we had a crowd of folks who understood what needed to be done to put
Hmm.
on a great show.
Right.
And I think that's the other reason why it would have been my other favorite show there. It's just because it was,
Because it
you
seemed
know,
like there were no problems at
yeah,
all.
well, it
I
just
mean, there
seemed
was a
like
couple, but not very
it just,
many.
but just like any other show, there are issues here and there. But
Hmm.
overall, everyone was started to gel and we understood and we were working together and I think I felt most proud of all of you during that show and it was great turnout and yeah, so
Yeah, but I think overall JP was pretty good, and it was a good show.
yeah, well,
Huh?
I'm glad to have been there. I wish it was a tough decision to leave. Part of me
Yeah.
still wishes I was there and doing it, but I think it's important to nurture our dreams and what we want to do and seek discomfort in our life. And if you want to do something, you're going to have to put yourself into an uncomfortable situation sometimes. And leaving Jeff, leaving a job that I knew I could have stayed at for the rest of my life
Yeah.
was probably one of the most uncomfortable things, to leave that and to start almost what feels like fresh, going on to grad school for arts administration, but I think part of going to or part of directing at Jeff helped me realize and understand more of what I wanted to do with my life. And I have
Hmm.
all of you to thank for that. So, glad to have been there. And, JP will
Amazing.
continue on, and we'll continue to support the students that
We
are a part of JFP.
we were all happy to have you as like a teacher, a role model, someone to look up to,
Well, thank you.
and we honestly, I don't think a single person was upset that you were leaving. I think we were more happy for you that you were going to continue a new chapter in your life, and that you're able to do what you want, go back to grad school.
Well, thank
It
you. That means a lot to me. It really
and
does.
I know a lot of us, most of us. Honestly, I'm gonna say all of us is probably gonna miss you, and there probably are missing you. But I know JP will still continue to be still great, and the show will still be good,
Oh yeah,
especially this year with Amy as the president. Oh my
she'll
God,
be she'll be great.
I was so happy when I saw her name as that. But yeah,
Well, I appreciate your kind words and appreciate you having me on
yeah,
today.
I was so glad that we were. Wow, we've been going on for like almost an hour, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy. No, but it was great to have you as a very special first guest. I loved it. I can really get it with anyone else but you.
Well,
And I was
thank
like,
you.
if I could get Wolfie on my first podcast, that would be amazing. I was like, everybody will love it. All the people in theater would love it. So I'm glad I was able to have you here, though.
Well, thank you, and I wish you the best of luck with this and with your streaming. And if further on down the line, a year from now, after you've had many more podcast guests, if you want
Yes.
to have me back, I would
Oh, definitely.
love to keep in touch.
Definitely. All right, everybody. Thank you, Wolverton slash Wolfie, that I gave you the nickname for. Everyone start calling you that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching the podcast. I should be out within the next couple weeks with another one. I might have my friend Quinn on the next one. Great guy. Love him to death. Like a brother to me.
He's an awesome guy.
Oh,
You'll
he's
love
great.
him.
Great. You all love him.
Talented, everything, guys.
Everything. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And we'll all see you in the next podcast. I'll see you all later.